Hello and welcome. I'm AJ.
I'm Alex.
And this is NTVN, New Tech Vintage Nerds. Today we're going to revisit a couple of topics from last time, because since we went on a rampage, all talking about photography, it might be a good idea that the things we planned then, well, we revisit like now. So,
Some topics we never got to.
like the whole migration of Homey Pro.
Oh, yes, indeed. And Loxone and LoxBerry.
Oh, yes. And I got a comment.
You promised to talk to for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I am going to. But first, I got a comment from a friend that told me, yeah, you talk a lot about photography with your drone, but have you already told them that you can't swim with it? So when we get started, I want to talk about that. So hit that intro. So the whole drone photography and using it as a submarine.
Hold on. Using it as a submarine wasn't part of the topic.
No, well, it was not on the box as well. So I use my drone a lot for photography. I take a lot of aerial pictures, and I'm going to put one in the show notes. And it's pretty good. You can do a lot of things. And one day we went with two friends on a boat or a ship, always guessing what to call it that day, because ship or boat, whatever. But we were filming and taking pictures on the boat with the drone. And it's pretty okay. We put the drone into the air while mid-journey, so we were on a lake, and then we put it up. That's not an issue. The only thing you have to remember is to set your home point, or actually when the battery drains and it's almost empty, it will return to your home point. But your boat is probably not there where you went up in the air with the drone. It's a bit of an issue. So you have to make sure that you update your home point, or that you let it fly with you. And all the
Actually,
time,
that wasn't the first drone that got lost.
No, I'm going to talk about that later.
I won't spoil it.
So with this one, the whole time when we were on the lake, everything went okay. And when we got to the shore, I just tried some cool things, and I did a nosedive with a drone. And normally, when it's above, well, let's say it's 20 centimeters, then it detects the ground, and then it tries to land. But on water, I'm not sure what happened. But, well, let's say it didn't land. 0 point was below water. So I pulled the controls, and it nosedived into the water, and then it came back up again. So it was still flying. Not good, but it was still flying.
Anyway, I mean, it did survive.
Sort of, because after that, a couple of sensors didn't work anymore, so I still had to send it to DJI for a repair. But at least I had them. I didn't have to dive into the water myself.
And it was not as bad as someone you and me both know, who unpacked his drone on a sailing ship in the Caribbean, started his drone just to see it tip overboard and never see again.
No, that was a great one. No, so I had my drone, yeah.
There you go.
But like you said, my drone experience is a bit hit and miss.
It's a bit erratic.
Yeah, well, I tend to do things that probably are not wise with the drone. Like when it's windy outside, put your drone up and thinking, well, when it's above the houses, it will probably fly a bit better than it is now.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I think the drone flew very well in that wind, because I never saw it back.
It flew so well, it flew back to where it came from.
Yeah, to outer space, I think. So, no, that was, well...
Not a cool experience.
No. So, my advice would be to all those that want a drone, fly with it and really try to use it as often as possible, and make sure that you know the little things about your drone, and try if it flies okay before you do anything. I was going to say stupid, but like I did, stupid. And make sure that it goes left and right, up and down, simple things like that before
You could
you head off
make
into
sure you get used to the controls, to
yeah,
how it responds to the controls. Also, when you turn the drone 180 degrees around, then left suddenly is right and right
yeah,
suddenly is left.
yeah.
Well,
That's
that can
true.
have some unexpected effects.
Yeah, when I fly back and I'm almost where I wanted to start, then I turn the drone so it flies backwards, but then left is left and right is right.
So, how many drones have you had until now?
3.
That is including the one that flew away.
Yes. If you take the repair into account, I got a new drone as part of the repair, so it's actually 4.
I don't count that one.
Okay. Oh,
It's still
3
the
then.
same purchase.
Yeah. So I had a Parrot, a small drone I got from a friend. Then I bought one on iBoot, pretty cheap. Now I know why.
Why?
Well, it wasn't very good,
Oh, okay.
or at least I tell myself that. And the third one is a DJI Mavic Air 2, and that's the one that's
Okay, that's an expensive one.
yeah. So I also did all the training necessary because you have to get certified these days. So I did all those things, and I really flew with a drone to get more acquainted with it. So it was not on the first day, oh, let's see how high it goes. And if you go high with a drone, and your stomach turns. It's you see there €1,000 hanging in the air. It's not fun. You get a bit cautious.
There is a risk that it will fly out of your reach.
Yeah, and even if it's just 120 meters, that's the maximum for the drone in Europe, or actually in the Netherlands when you're not in a no fly zone. But 120 meters, the drone is like 30 centimeters wide.
You can hardly see it when it's that high.
Yeah, and it's the sun shines, or there's a bird flying that you think, where is my drone?
Is that my drone? Oh, hold on, that's a bird.
Yeah, and since I got some experience with drones, not being able to control them, so it's.
But in the meantime, at least determining by the footage I've seen, you've got it pretty well under control.
Yeah, I do now, because I got a complete setup for it. You can control it with your mobile phone. I do have the controller, and then you can put your phone on it for video output. And you always, and obviously I do that as well, you always should be able to keep your drone in line of sight with your own eyes. So the camera is more to see what it is seeing.
My eyes are sort of need some help.
Yeah.
So within my line of sight is depending on the interpretation of it. But, okay.
So and a line of sight is, you can hardly see it when it's 100 meters up in the air. So assume that it's 100 meters away from you in left or right. But then imagine that the drone can fly more than 2 kilometers away from you. I'm not sure exactly how far, because I got to keep it inside. So 2 kilometers, you can't see that thing of 30 centimeters from 2 kilometers ahead.
Definitely not.
No, so I don't do that. Obviously. So no, it's a great hobby. You can make great pictures with it and make good footage with it, but you gotta practice a lot.
Obviously. Well, what is it that you do with it?
I take pictures. What do you mean?
Of what?
Oh, so
when do you take it out? What is a deciding moment? You say, okay, this is where I take out my drone and
Yeah,
use a camera.
when something happens or when something interesting is visible. So around my house, it was a lot of fun to do that when our house was built or when the neighborhood was built, and fly around cranes and stuff like that. But now it's only when I go somewhere, when I go out with friends, running or on holiday. Then the drone goes with us, and then I make some drone shots of the environment or the vicinity where we are, so I can put that into a video. Yes, guys, I know I have 3 years to do of video material. I know they're coming.
Not a word from me.
No, but those kind of things. So we went to Nijmegen. There's a face next to the water. It's an art piece. But it's nice to fly around it with your drone, so you can get snapshots from all sides or shots of a particular bridge. It's those kind of things. So
Okay, cool.
Not at home.
What I always hear about drones is that the battery life is terrible, right? You bring 12 batteries and then you can fly 10 minutes per battery and then you're done. How is that in reality?
It depends on the drone. It depends on the wind. It depends on the temperature. So when I fly with my drone, then, I have 3 batteries, and each battery in optimal circumstances will take me, I think, 32 to 36 minutes of flight time.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. When the wind is hard, then it will be lower than that, because it's got to stay up in the air.
It has to fight against the wind.
Yeah, but if you look at the smaller drones and the FPS drones, the first person FPS. No, that's gaming. First person view.
Yeah. Obviously that will cost battery as well. Obviously.
Yeah, and the small racing drones that have smaller batteries, and those are empty within 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, but they are aimed to just fly a race and then be done with it. Other than the Mavic or whatever you have, those are recreational drones, and the longer they can stay up, the longer you have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, if I put it in race mode, the battery obviously also drains quicker.
Yeah.
And if I put it into, what's it called? Tripod mode, then you get cinematic shots, and then it moves slowly, and then the battery will be preserved more because it flies slowly, and the acceleration or deceleration of the drone is also smoothed out.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was a bit confused by the term tripod mode.
Yeah, tripod at 100 meters in the air. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, or do you screw the drone to a tripod and then what?
Yeah, then you take the tripod up in the air. No.
Yeah, that would be a bit silly. So yeah, but I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's pretty good. I'll put in the show notes the video of my drone taking water. I think it's funny. Now I can laugh at it now. So
not at the time, but now you can.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Enough drones. Homey Pro. What did you do?
Well, I didn't do a lot. And that actually was very good. So as you may remember, AJ's home automation platform of choice is her Home Assistant, but I am on Homey. For those who do not know, Homey, Homey, is a hardware device that you place into your home, and you can attach all kinds of home automation devices to it. It's got Z-Wave or Z-Wave. It's got Zigbee. It's got Matter. It's got Thread. It's got Bluetooth. It's even got infrared. It's got 433 and 800 and whatever megahertz. I can't remember. What's it? 432, 866. That's it.
Yeah.
So it can basically control almost any device you throw at it. As long as there's an app for it, you can control it. So Homey originally was a Kickstarter project. Back in 2014, I think 2014, 2015, it was a Kickstarter project, and a lot of people actually subscribed to that, spend about, I think it was about 200, 250-ish euros on it. But honestly, I was never one of the Kickstarter folks, but shortly after I did buy it when it was a commercial product. So that would be 2016-ish. And that was the original Homey, so it wasn't called Homey Pro back then. And in 2019, I replaced it with the Pro edition, which had a bit more oomph, so a stronger processor, a bit more memory. And well, if you have a lot of devices, which I have, and a lot of different brands, which I have, you have a lot of apps loaded, and obviously a lot of apps consume a lot of memory. So
when you say apps, what do you mean with that?
So an app basically is an integration of a specific brand. Usually the apps go by brand. So if you have sensors from Fibaro, you've got the Fibaro app. But also if you have the switchable plugs from Fibaro, that's the same app. But I also have the switchable plugs from AOTech. And I've got some from Neo Coolcam. And for every brand, you have to load an app. So I think I'm around 30 apps right now because I've loaded everything into it. And like I explained in the home automation episode, if you can remember, and otherwise AJ will link below, or above, or somewhere.
In the show notes.
In the show notes, there you go. What was I going to say?
If you remember from that episode.
Yeah. So no, I can't remember what I want to say. Anyway, thing is, my Homey Pro was from 2019, so we're now 2024. There is a new Homey Pro. It's called Homey Pro 2023. Very
original,
creative naming. Yeah. And this one, again, has double the amount of RAM, triple the amount of storage, which is a bit strange because, honestly, I rather have it the other way around. But apart from that, and it's basically, and that's the fun part, it's based on a Raspberry Pi compute module 4.
Oh, okay.
That's basically what's inside, and on the Homey platform, so the Homey operating system, which is, again, I think based on Linux, if I'm correctly informed. But actually, I never really dug into that because, well, the system itself is sort of closed. You don't get a console or anything, which, well, has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is you can never break it. The disadvantage is if something's broken, you can't look into it.
Yeah.
That's a choice you make. So the thing is that once, and every person who does something with home automation is aware of this, you onboard all the devices, all your devices, and at a certain point in time, you don't have 20, right? You have 80 or 100, 120. Honestly, I don't know. I never counted them, but it's quite a lot.
There are a lot, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's around 100, 120-ish. Because every door sensor, every plug, every app counts as an element. So yeah, that's you soon get to 100, 120 devices if you do this for a while. And then every device has, as you call it, I think in home automation, a scene.
Yeah, you got a scene that does a lot.
Homey calls it flows. So a flow is something that triggers something, right?
Okay.
If it gets dark outside, turn on the lights. That's a flow.
Yeah, okay. That's an automation and Home Assistant.
Okay, an automation then. If I get home, open my door. I don't know if you've got an electronic lock. I've got one. Wouldn't recommend it though, but that's a different story. So those are flows, and those flows are that's the part that consumes the time. It's not the onboarding of all the devices that's where you spend the most time. The flows, tuning the flows, is what is the most time consuming of home automation. Yeah, so when you migrate from one platform to the next, or from one hardware device to the next, you do not want to recreate all those flows because that will set you back days, if not weeks.
Yep.
So you're always looking for what is the easiest way to contain everything I have in that platform I'm on and move that to the next platform. So the advantage, I moved from one Homey Pro to the next. So the wonderful thing about the Homey ecosystem is I can take a backup and then I can restore a backup.
Yep.
And you know what? Those two devices are compatible because they are both ARM based.
Okay.
So I can take a backup from the old Homey and restore it on the new Homey. How about that? And guess what? It worked almost. Yeah, that was one drawback. And that drawback was Zigbee.
Oh.
I had to repair all Zigbee devices. Now, fortunately, I did not have a lot of devices directly on Zigbee, directly connected to the Homey. So yes, Philips Hue is also Zigbee, but all my Philips Hue lights are connected to the Hue hub. So not directly connected to Homey. Meaning that those lights just remained connected to the hub and I just reconnect the hub and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I did have a couple of lights, specifically in my garden, and a couple of lights inside the home that were actually also on Zigbee, and a couple of inner lights, INNR, if you are familiar with the brand. And I basically had to completely reset those and reconnect those. That was a bit annoying.
Yeah, I can imagine. I haven't seen that on my own system. I haven't done a migration from Zigbee, but if I recall the documentation correct, it should be possible to migrate from one network controller to the next.
It should be repairable, yes. For some reason, I don't know why that does not work with Homey.
Okay.
But like I said, fortunately, I didn't have a lot of devices in there, so it wasn't a big pain. I think I have 2 or 3 devices left I still have to do, but those are somewhere buried in my garden. I will do this sometime in spring when we get to
dry.
That. Yeah, well, but not that, but it's the water and temperature sensors from my water pump, and that one is in the garage now anyway. So I don't really care about the temperature sensor in the water pump housing right now because there's no water pump in there, so I don't care. If it freezes, then it freezes. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind. So this will be interesting again somewhere around March, April timeframe. But the migration also went actually very well. So I didn't have to recreate any flows. I did have to edit some because the old Homey actually had a loudspeaker. And new Homey does not. So some notifications that I made were actually combined with a sound and text-to-speech from the old Homey, and the new Homey does not have that. So I had to rebuild those flows, but I think there's only 4 or 5-ish flows, and the rest was all fine.
Yeah, what did you do with that? Did you put something else on the audio, or you skipping audio totally?
Actually, with the Sonos integration of Homey, you can actually let Sonos do the text-to-speech.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of Homey now telling me that the washing machine is ready, now Sonos tells me.
Yeah, okay. So, and it's all house, so it's probably even better.
Yeah, we've got a million of those things, so.
Yeah. So did you already investigate that combined with presence detection or location detection in your house, that you only hear
the millimeter wave? No, I haven't. No, I haven't gotten around to that yet. I know someone's working on that, but I have not seen the integration yet.
Yeah, I have a lot of mmWave modules from Ali. Still have to solder something to it.
Solder them together.
Probably.
Yeah, well, I was
next winter.
Busy. Exactly, I was busy doing some WLED stuff, and it was just lying around now.
Yeah.
So that's indeed that is still something that is in the works. It's still very interesting, but right now Homey does not have a direct solution for it. But it's I think it's something that's in the works.
I'm not gonna say that Home Assistant does something like that, but Home Assistant does something like that.
Yes, I know.
So you said it's based on a Raspberry Pi.
Yes, it is.
So does that mean that when the CM5 comes out or is out, that you can switch that, or since it's a black box, you don't have any thing that you can upgrade in that?
That is a good question to which I do not know the answer.
Okay.
But obviously, or probably, you can take the Homey apart. It's just a flat black puck, but I don't think you can actually swap out the CM4 module. It would be beneficial though, but yeah, the only thing that is disappointing, and that's not quite true, but it is sort of, is they actually used the one with 3 gigabytes of storage, which I think it had 1 or 2 in the past. I can't remember. I think 2. So we went from 2 to 3. But we went from 1 gigabyte of RAM to 2 gigabytes of RAM. And I would rather have seen them taking a bit of a larger module. That would have been nice. You know, the one with the 4 gigs.
Yeah.
That would have really made me happy.
Yeah.
Because live and in color, the current memory utilization of my current Homey, after I removed a couple of apps and re-added them after we migrated, my current memory usage is 1.67 gigabytes of 2.
Okay.
So that's a bit disappointing.
It's almost starting to swap to disk again, but that's
yeah, and that is as soon as you get over the 90-ish percentage utilization, you seriously start to notice problems.
Too bad.
And you will see that in the form of apps that are crashing, apps that stop functioning.
No, that's a shame.
Yeah, it's also very annoying. So one thing I can report is the fact that as the CPU is significantly faster. I think the original was a quad core and this is an 8 core, or the original was a 2 core and this is a quad core, something like that. This now is when it boots, the original Homey I had, the 2019 Pro I had, took almost 10 minutes to boot. So from putting in the plug and the light actually coming on to it being done with loading all the apps that were on there, roughly nine and a half minutes. And this one takes about 2-3-ish.
That's a difference.
That is a significant difference, yes.
I know that because it has to start up the Zigbee network again, it takes more time, but like 9 minutes, that's a difference of like 6-7 minutes. That's a lot.
Yeah. So and like I said, it does do Zigbee, it does do Z-Wave, it does Matter, it does Thread, it does Bluetooth, it does 433 and 866 megahertz, it does infrared, it does all that. And that has to boot all those antennas and all those radios.
Yeah, it's really an all-in-one.
It is, yeah. And this is the wonderful fact about it, it is in my living room. I actually made a little tray for it in Tinkercad. And so it's mounted to the same box that the original Homey was mounted to. And it can operate my TV via an infrared blaster from I think it's in the middle of the living room, and my TV is way to the left. Still, it was able to reach that. So generally, for instance, during the day, we always have radio on here. Also right now, so all around the house, because, Sonos, all around the house, we have radio on. And as soon as I switch on the TV, Homey detects with the infrared that the TV has switched on. Although I'm not sure if it's infrared or the app. It's interesting. I should look into that. But it detects that the TV is on and then switches off the Sonos.
Oh, nice. That's really nice. Yeah, I do something with the automations in Home Assistant, but I don't use infrared for these kind of things because um, my Home Assistant computer is right beside me in my office. Um, but everything that's got an Ethernet connection or Wi-Fi connection, it can control that remotely. So I don't have to put it inside. But yours was pretty nice. The 2019 version was like a round thing with lights. It looked
It was
something from a
a little
sci-fi
ball with
movie.
an LED ring
Yeah.
around it. Now it's a flat puck with an LED ring around it. Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically the same shade of dull as all those other things.
Well, it's not that. It's not that dull. It's just a different form factor. Well, I have to say, the little bowl, it was quite a bit cuter than the flat puck.
Yeah.
It was the flat puck isn't good for the wife acceptance factor. The little bowl was. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
I shouldn't talk about dull because that what I have is you don't see it like Home Assistant or like the Loxone in my utility closet. There's a gray cabinet on top of it, so you can hardly see it.
speaking of Loxon,
Yes.
you owe our audience an explanation on Loxon and LoxBerry. So
Yes. So I'm not sure if you know what Loxone is.
I have no flipping idea.
Oh shoot. Well, Loxone is it's too small to say it's a home automation solution because it's a building automation solution. Like there are a couple of things like KNX. It's
Yeah,
real. Sorry?
X10 stuff like that.
No. KNX.
Yeah.
That's a wired-in solution.
Oh, okay. Yes.
There's a signal wire and there's the actual actuator. So there's going a signal to your outlet, and then it can trigger your outlet.
Right.
So that's KNX. The Loxone system is more. There's parts of it that does the same. So you can have signal wires or sensors in your house that give input to your Loxone system. And Loxone is more like a um, programmable logic computer. It's a purpose-built device purely for controlling um, live wires or how do you call them, relays. You can really trigger relays and
Right.
get input from sensors like temperature or the how bright it is outside.
Right. Okay.
That's really the basis, and you can do some stuff on networking level. You can do a call to a REST API and get that information into Loxone, but that's I hope I don't offend anybody, but it's not very good. Well, it does what it should do, but you can't do a lot with it. So you can't
Okay. So what is
say,
it? What is it that you do with it?
well, I wanted to pull out the information from the internet about the weather status so I can automate my screens.
Right.
You can do that with Loxone directly. So some real intelligent German people created a solution that's called LoxBerry. So a Loxone add-on that you can install on your Raspberry Pi. It's like Homebridge for bridging systems from Homey and Home Assistant to HomeKit.
Yeah.
LoxBerry does something similar. And there
Okay.
are a lot of plugins available, like weather, but I put something in my note. I try to find the note. You can do a CalDev integration, so pulling information out of a calendar.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, from the diverse calendars like
Yeah.
Gmail calendar or
Yeah, or the Apple
what's
One.
called Google Calendar. It's called not
Yeah.
Gmail Calendar. or an Exchange or S360 calendar.
Yep, exactly. And there's a integration or a plugin, they call it, for a UPS tools. I don't use that because I still have no working UPS. Something for another time. But also integrations with Alexa, OneWire, Chromecast, things that normally you can do with a building automation system like Loxone.
Right.
So I really, really, really wanted to do an upgrade of LoxBerry because I installed it like 5 years ago when we installed everything in the house. Then I installed.
That's a long runtime. That's a long runtime.
Yeah.
And it ran on a Raspberry Pi.
No, because I installed the Loxone system. That's still running.
Okay.
Actually, there's nothing attached to it, so it's more taking out power than anything else. But yeah, I know. And the LoxBerry I had installed on the Raspberry Pi, that already died because it was installed on a SD card, and SD cards and writing,
that was exactly why I was asking, because, well, a Raspberry Pi running for 5 years without interruption, having no problems, that's fairly unique.
Yeah, it is. So it didn't. So this time I wanted to install it on a NUC, an Intel NUC. And unfortunately, I was too stubborn because there's like Home Assistant, there's an image for it you can download with Diet Pi, a specific flavor of Linux for Raspberry Pi that you can also install on an Intel CPU. So it's obviously a different image than the one for the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
The thing was that I downloaded the most recent Diet Pi with Debian 12 in it. I thought, great, I want that. It's new, it's secure, and everything. I don't have to upgrade my system next week.
But it's not compatible.
I downloaded the installer, and it said, you need Debian 11.
Yeah, I've been there.
So what I did was hack the installer because it was just a bash script. And you can put in the top 3 items was which version and how it's called. So I changed that, and almost everything installed okay, but Apache doesn't run anymore, and some other minus things. It's a web interface, so Apache not running might be a bit of a problem.
That's a bummer. Yes.
Yeah. So, and there I ended it yesterday.
And it's not fixable.
I haven't looked into it because during that whole exercise, I did something rather interesting with our network. I put an additional cable into the network, and then my wife came from her office telling me that we lost internet. So that was a good one.
That's called a loop, my friend.
Yeah, I know. And
that's what our STP is for, or yes. Actually against.
I know, and still it failed because it was the second uplink to our Wi-Fi access point in the living room, and I put it just somewhere in the network, and I'm not really sure why it failed, but it created a loop, even though RSTP is on, or RTSP, whatever. So I'm
RSTP.
I'm not sure what happened. Oh yeah. I'm vintage.
There
right?
is separate loop detection in Unify, so I think that is where you went wrong.
But yeah, anyway. Probably. I just yanked the cable out, and hey, internet is working again.
Everything started working again.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's something I still need to do, and the thing is, I really want to use that thing because it's direct connected to a 230 volt, so it can switch real outlets instead of wireless and a plug that you put into it. It's called a smart plug. Well, wow. I just want to switch it on and off remotely. And Actually, I don't want it to be a wireless network. I know Zigbee and Z-Wave and everything. It's pretty good. It's pretty secure. But yeah, well, why? If you have a closet where everything comes together and you can switch there, why shouldn't you use it?
Fair point.
So yeah.
So
So
there
this.
will be a to be continued on LoxBerry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It
All
it,
right.
it it will continue.
All right.
Oh,
On that
anything
bombshell,
else for today? No.
any tips?
Well, yes, don't install Debian 12 when you're installing LoxBerry.
Yeah, too late for that.
Yeah. No real tips for today, other than if you buy a drone, if you buy one from DJI, make sure that you also purchase the DJI Drone Refresh. I'm not sure how it's called. I'll put it in the link. You pay like 75 euros, and then you can claim 2 failures or flyaways. So if your drone fails, you get a new one.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep, and it only costs you
That's that's
75 bucks.
that's seriously easy money because if it gets lost or broken,
Yep.
it's a multitude of 75 euros.
Yeah, and it's just like your car insurance. You hope you don't need it, but if you do,
You're
you're
very
very
glad you
lucky.
have one. Yeah, indeed, indeed. So my tip this week is the iFixit kit.
Okay.
And the reason why I got to that was actually because I got one as a present, but I had the extended one I already owned as a good old fashioned tinkerer that I am. And I wanted to just break a leg for it, show it off. You know, I've got this that I'm showing it right now. I'll put it in the show notes as well. This is actually the more luxurious kit with the whole roll of tools in it, and it also has, which is quite wonderful, it's got a magnetic plate inside of that roll, which is so practical if you do not want to lose your screws, because I tend to drop them all. And I've got a gray floor, so you know what happens then. You will never find them again until you trip over them. But I bought the deluxe version with I don't know, 1,000,000 bits. This is very, very extensive. I'm showing it on
Okay.
camera for those who are listening.
So are there specialty bits in it, like for opening your phone and stuff like that?
Yes, this kit has every bit you can think of.
Okay.
So also the ones that you need to open your iPhone or your Android phone or your MacBook, the small ones with the hole in it.
Globe things.
It's
Yeah.
got those.
Oh,
So
nice.
I can highly recommend having this in your home if you are doing anything yourself with electronics. This is definitely the kit to have. Put a link in the show notes.
Nice. Well, with that, I think we'll close the connection and just want to say, if you got anything that you want us to know, please let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, then we probably can make some more. And with that, see you next time.
Peace out.
Bye.